trailer's all loaded up. Got scaffolding, all kinds of scaffolding. Got some 6x6 timbers over here, metal roofing, some different kind of metal roofing. I'm going to make a new cover for the well. Got my mortar pan. The Jeep is loaded right up. Yeah, we are eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Frankie's got his little bungalow back there. I got his bed set up. The rest of the Jeep is packed. It's much better than having him laying in the seat. When he's laying in the seat on the way down, he's usually right in the direct sun. It's a pretty warm day today. Plus sometimes when I go to pass somebody, he might be sitting up and blocking my mirror. So it works out better for the both of us, having him riding in the back like that. He likes it better because he can watch out the window and he stays in the shade. Well, here we go. What do you think, Frankie? What do you think? Well, it looks to me like he's set up pretty good. When you're working 300 miles away from home, you have to make sure you got everything you need. But according to Frankie, what I need is another tennis ball.
Well, hey folks, welcome back to the New Hampshire Cabin Project.
So here I'm working on the eave. I've got some major repair work ahead of me. I'll show you what I'm up against. When the camp was originally built back in the 50s, the builder didn't extend the rafter tails beyond the wall. They were cut flush. Maybe they weren't long enough, and instead of using full rafter thickness for the overhang, they scabbed on these little 2x2s. Now it's been here for over 60 years, but I don't want to trust the roof when I'm climbing up and down. So before that I can do the siding, I'm going to beef up this soffit the way that it should be. Because I'm going to put a flat soffit in, board it up, and then I want my siding to come up to the soffit. Now I'm starting out by nailing on a new 2x4 scab to those 2x2s. Then from that point I'm going level back to the wall. I'm going to do this on both ends of the camp. Then I'm going to run a chalk line from here all the way down to the other corner of the camp when I build it like this. I'll put a 2x4 on that line, and then I'll run a 2x4 from here over, and that'll all get beefed up nice and strong and nice and straight from one end to the other. Then I'll put boards underneath with a soffit vent. And then when I start insulating the camp, I will cut this roof board away from up above to let air vent right up the rafters. And I'll show that in a future video. It's the same thing with the gable ends. There was only little 2x2s sticking out, and I'm beefing all of that up, as you can see here. Then I'm running some pine boards underneath the gable, closing it in, and as you can see here where I shiplap the ends, that way if they shrink a little bit, no bees and stuff will get inside. Everything is secure. Then I'll tear off the old fascia and put in a wider one, probably like a 1x8, and cap everything off nicely. I'll be in good shape when we're done. Well, the camp restoration project is underway once again. It took some work, but I removed any rotted wood that I found and replaced it with pressure-treated lumber. I got most of the roller coaster out of the undercarriage, and then I ran a new joist nice and straight around the perimeter to camouflage the rest of the imperfections. I ran a drip cap over it and draped a tar paper over that. That'll shed water now, even if it ever found its way behind the siding. These overhangs were nothing more than 2x2s, but I intend to fix that. With a nice straight line to follow, I beefed up the eaves with a new flat soffit. What a difference that'll make. Then I get to work on the front porch. I'm putting a roof over this thing once and for all. These are 6x6s I milled from the New York property, so it'll be nice to have a little of the New York homestead over here at the camp. Rain is on the way, so I better get cracking. I'll take the video camera out when I get finished with it. All the parts and pieces fit together just like I hoped it would. And once the header was in place, I fastened it down with some Timberlock screws, and I'll put a link to those in the description for you. Old Frankie's not much help on a job like this, but he can watch just as long as he's sporting the proper safety equipment. Although some may say he's taken this mimicking just a little bit too far. Well, it looks like I got it done just in time, folks. I wanted to get that roof up before it rained, and now it's raining. Well, my goal was to get the roof up and on and tar papered before we get some rain, and I just made it. I've been wanting to have the roof up first. That way, if I get a rainy day, I still have a place to set up my tools, and I can keep on working at least inside. So I got the roof on, now it's raining. So here I'm under the camp once again, up against something that I really don't have words to describe what I'm up against. I don't know what the hell I'm I don't know. I gotta show you. So all the way around the perimeter of the camp is a nice timber, which is in good shape. That girder is in good shape. Then I have a girder going across the camp at midpoint, but it's running in the same direction as the floor joist, okay? It should be running perpendicular to the floor joist, so it supports all of these, but it's running parallel to them. That one over there is running perpendicular, just like it's supposed to. But as you can see, the piers are tipped and they've heaved up, and it's putting a big hump in the floor right there. That pier there is all tipped too from frost. The snafu here is this timber is serving no purpose whatsoever. It's between floor joist, and it got jacked up so high it's way above the bottom of the joist. Now I have already lowered that about 1.25 inches. This was jacked up way up, causing a speed bump in the floor right there. So I've been lowering it a little at a time, but as you can see here, and as you can see, there's nothing holding it, and it's just from so many years of being bowed up that it's stuck there. But it is serving no purpose at all. And I have a good mind just to cut it right out and use it someplace else. But the real clincher is, we have a girder here that goes to it and one there. Now these girders are definitely supporting the floor, but the problem is they don't go all the way to the perimeter. That one is just there, jacked up way too high, and the same with this one. I think the camera will even pick it up. It shoots way up in the air here, but it doesn't go all the way to the end. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm going to pull them right out of here, and then I'm going to run a new girder from this. I'm going to hang it off of this, and it's going to go all the way to the perimeter. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to replace this with a girder that's going to go from the perimeter all the way to here. I'm going to hang it off of this without any support beneath it. And hopefully it'll pull this one down, and when this one is where it's supposed to be, then I will put support beneath it. It's unbelievable, huh? Look at this girder. It's in good shape too. It's a big old hemlock 4x6. It runs in between the floor joists. It's holding nothing. It runs clear to the center girder over there. It's doing nothing. It's supporting nothing. Unbelievable. Looks like they've tipped a few too many knickerbockers while on the clock. They say history repeats itself, but I ain't believing those stories.
All my life, this has been the worst looking camp on the road. It really has. The camp was built in the 1950s. My dad surrounded it with a black rolled roofing. It's been that way ever since. I always hated it. Always had a love-hate relationship with this place. I loved coming up here. I loved the immensity of the forest, peace and quiet. I always hated the way the camp looked. It was always cluttered. Always bothered me. And now that I've started doing the restoration, I'm doing it top to bottom. Last year, I did a lot of work that didn't show, jacking the place up, straightening it out, running wires, tearing walls apart, putting it back together, where you work all week, you turn around and you look and you don't really see much work. You don't see the accomplishment, even though it's all stuff that needed to be done. Well, this year I'm working on the outside, so I'm going to make some changes. I've been bouncing ideas back and forth in my mind, what I want to put on it for siding. I'd really like to do the wavy edge siding like I did the New York cabin, but that requires a tremendous amount of work. I'd have to cut a bunch of pine and mill it up and stick it and stack it, which is a tremendous amount of work in itself. Let it dry for a good long time, then trailer it to 300 miles to get here. And then I really need to have someone else assist me on the project, especially when I get working up high in the high gables. I like to work alone, and I want to get started. The wavy edge boards would put me out probably another year. So I've been thinking about different things, different types of asphalt siding. T111 would be a quick fix, go up fast, wouldn't look too bad. But again, especially up on those high gables, I need someone else to help me out. I don't like relying on other people. So I was out for a walk when I was here on my last trip. Just talking out loud, thinking out loud, bouncing different ideas back and forth, trying to come up with a solution. And I swear to God, friends, I heard my dad's voice. Got kind of emotional, actually. It brought me back to when I was a little boy, and I remember my dad telling me that he had always dreamed about putting cedar shingles on the camp and putting them up staggered. And it came back in such vivid detail that not only could I hear his voice, but I could see him doing like that with his hands, putting them up staggered. I had forgotten all about that, but I heard his voice, and that memory came back. It was quite moving. So, it's going to cost me a fortune, but since I've been spent my whole life fulfilling my dreams, and it's always been my dream to fix this camp up, that I'm going to fulfill my dad's dream in the process. Because what kind of a man would I be if I ignored that request? So, Pop, cedar shingles it is, and they're going up staggered. I just wish you could have dreamed up something cheaper, because this is going to cost me a fortune. So stay tuned. The next episode of the camp restoration, you're going to see some changes. So here we go.